What's going on, guys? So, new flooring, new toilet. Okay, not new baseboard. That's a little customized there. All I did was I pulled the old baseboard off, and there were some areas where I pulled the baseboard off, even though I scored it with a knife. There were some areas that some of the sheetrock came out, and so I just kind of mudded it up. I didn't even texture it or nothing. I just sanded it down. It's low enough that it's not in your face. I sanded it, painted it. I didn't even prime it or anything. With the baseboard, you can see I'm not a really good person with the caulk, but whatever. I just used the existing baseboard, and I scraped it off, cleaned it up, painted it, and I think I did pretty good. And what I did here is I did the toilet because I had noticed for a while right in this area here, my laminate flooring had it was starting to bubble up, and it was kind of a trip hazard. Whatever, you can see there's a gap on the toilet there. I'm not gonna caulk it. That's probably part of the reason why I didn't notice it before, because it was caulked in, but that's whatever. So I got it shimmed up. Anyways, so I pulled the baseboard off. I pulled the laminate flooring up, and all around the toilet, the wood was, it was kind of, the floor was kind of a sopping, kind of, bendy, pliable, if you will. And of course, underneath laminate, you install padding. Well, the padding, when I pulled the padding up, there was some black mold. Wasn't a whole lot, but there was some black mold. I used bleach and vinegar to clean it up, which I know I've heard on YouTube that bleach will not kill black mold, but between bleach and vinegar, like I said, it wasn't a whole lot. So I feel confident that I got rid of it. And when I replaced the seal, I did not use a standard wax seal. I used, the product is called Corky, and it's rubber seal. And what's great about it is if you put in the wax seal and you can press it down, and like my toilet kind of rocks right now because it's not caulked in, which that would not work with a wax seal, but because it's a rubber seal, that's okay. I've got some shims in the back here that you can't see, but so that prevents it from rocking a lot more. Anyways, the other thing is, before I get into the flange, that's a replacement flange that I didn't use. I just wanted to cover with you what I did on the vinyl flooring that made the job easier. What I did, and I know you're supposed to start in the center of the room and work your way so you don't have like a small plank, a really small plank like here. You can see that crack there. That was really hard. I smashed it down with the hammer, knocked it in, but I got that much. Okay. And I know that's like a no-no, but flooring looks good to me. So anyways, what I did to make things easier, in my opinion, is I went ahead and I just used my cordless rigid circular saw, because for the most part, it was a plank and a half the whole way until I got to here. And it still became a plank and a half, but I had to do some notch out here. And then down here, you can see it's only 2 inches. So it's still like a plank and a half, and you can see my seams kind of line up. Okay, that's not exactly what I was looking for, but it'll work. So anyways, and yeah, the flange, the closet flange underneath the toilet was all boogered up, and I think that's part of the reason why that we were having this leaking issue. Now, what I did is, obviously, I didn't use this one. I picked this one up in case. and I'm going to bring it back, or have my wife bring it back. But what I did is I got a metal one, because right here was all messed up on the flange. And as I was tightening the toilet bolts down, that you can see right there, as I was tightening the toilet bolts down, it would slip and then it would pop up. Well, so what I did is I just got a metal ring. I put it down, I lined up the bolts, and I got the bolts lined up, because this side, there was one side that was worse than the other. I don't know if it was this side or, yeah, this side. So anyways, I lined up this bolt. I was able to get this bolt pretty much torqued down. This one here, as I was torquing it down, it still popped out. So I torqued this one down, and I verified that it was lined up. I took a tape from here to here, and same thing on the other side. I realized the wall's probably not straight, but a 1/4 of an inch isn't that big of a deal. So I got this bolt lined up, torqued down. So this was pretty much good to go. And then I just drove a self-tapper, 4 self-tappers in to the metal flange that I ended up installing. And then I was able to torque this down, because I didn't, even if it had popped through the flange underneath, it's still in this flange here. Okay. Good idea when you put these bolts in. Either get a second set of bolts, excuse me, and torque them down. That way they're not all floppy and stuff when you try to set your toilet in place. Torque them down. It doesn't really matter, because it's getting covered up by a gasket of some kind, whether you use the wax ring or use the rubber gasket that I was talking about, the Corky rubber gasket. And as you can see, I don't know, I think it's fairly straight. Now the other thing too is I was hoping that I would not have to pull the sink out. Unfortunately, I did have to pull the sink out. Now, my buddy, when we redid this whole bathroom about, I don't know, 3 years ago or so, he ran all the copper and he ran the drain. He did all that stuff. And turns out that the sink, the pedestal, I was really surprised. The pedestal is more for looks. This one here, you can't see it, but you can. There's a bigger gap here than there used to be, because this flooring is maybe 12 millimeters. I don't know the specs on it. Whereas the laminate, maybe it was 15 millimeters. I don't know. But this stuff here, this vinyl here, is somewhat thinner than the laminate flooring that was in here. So that pedestal actually is not propping this up quite enough. I could cock it into the wall. I'm not going to. It's actually, there's actually, you can see there's a bolt there. Yeah, that does a whole lot of good, right? And you can see underneath, that is actually a brace, and you can see there's 3 legs in here. So the sink is actually held to the wall separate from the pedestal. The pedestal, it helps, but it's pretty solid, but I can lift the sink up a little bit, but I am not worried about that. But anyways, so the basic reason for this video is to show you, to give you basically what I learned with the flooring. When I did the flooring upstairs, I was using my multi-tool to make all the cuts. Here, I did all my cuts with the circular saw, and it went so much quicker. Of course, when I did right here, and when I did all this stuff here, I did end up having to use my multi-tool again. What I did with the toilet flange, If that helps, great. But that's what I did. They do have repair kits out there that require you. Had I known, I would have cut it off before I even put the flooring down. That actually would have made doing the flooring easier, but whatever, right? So it's working. It's working. Initially, I saw some water here, but I don't know where it is. After I put the bowl in, I stretched the hose and I just filled it with water. And I didn't even put the tank on, just cause I wanted to verify that this was all good to go. And then, like I said, I saw some water. Obviously there's no water there. And this is waterproof flooring. So should there be a leak, I won't end up getting the same issue that I had before. So, those are my tips and, tricks. I mean, I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a flooring guy. I'm not a plumber. I'm an alarm guy. I'm just a guy that likes to do stuff by myself so I can save some money. And if anything I've shared with you helps you to save some money, I'm very happy. Please feel free to, subscribe, share, like. If you know someone that's getting ready to do their flooring or a toilet, go ahead and share this video to that individual. Otherwise, until my next video, I will see you again. Thank you. Goodbye.